Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm Phil. I wanted to show some Factorio blueprints I made for Gleba. So Gleba is a organic planet. Everything you deal with is alive. So even like the iron and copper is made from living bacteria. So there is a challenge to make sure that your production doesn't get clogged with spoilage or, that your bacteria colonies don't die out, etc., etc. So I made some early game blueprints for Gleba. Um, I'm just in the lab right now, but just so it's easier to test. So I've got a blueprint book here. So we'll start with my jumpstart blueprint. So you just paste this in, plug it into the materials. So yeah, your one type of fruit is going to come in here, the Yumiko. Then the jelly nut's going to come in here. And then for this one, you do need water. So this is essentially just like an early blueprint you might have when you first land on Gleba. So what this one does, it just takes the fruits. It sends the mash over here to be burned. It also burns spoilage. And then this burning creates steam, which is stored and also can run through the turbines. And it's got some solar, just to kind of help kickstart everything. Oh, solar's pretty bad on Gleba. And so here we've got the basic recipes for iron bacteria and copper bacteria. These, they're not very efficient, but they do work and they're easier to deal with. So we just start out with those for this jumpstart blueprint. So let me speed up time here a bit till it starts running. Okay. Yeah, so now you can see it's got spoilage flowing through. It makes nutrients out of the spoilage. And it also uses spoilage to burn to produce the iron and copper plates. So this isn't a blueprint you would want to use for a long time, but it is, it does get you started. So this is probably the one I'm most proud of out of this collection. So this is a iron blueprint. So all you need is the fruits. So you just send in your Yumiko and jelly nut, and it does everything else. You don't have to do any manual setup or bootstrapping of it. It also should recover from pretty much anything. So if the power goes out or the output gets backed up, it'll recover on its own with no trouble. So for now, let me put the output there. So how it works is it takes the Yumiko, mashes it, and then waits for it to spoil. And then that goes in here to bootstrap the nutrient production. And that allows the real, sort of the more efficient nutrient recipe to start running. And then we have the basic bacteria recipe to bootstrap this, which uses the more efficient recipe. And so these bootstrapping, they only run when they detect via circuit conditions that this one detects the nutrients are gone, and this one detects that there's no bacteria up here. So let's speed this up a little bit. Okay, it starts spoiling. So once it starts spoiling, the spoilage comes in here, it starts producing nutrients, and that starts the real nutrient production, which then allows this iron bacteria thing to bootstrap. And that, of course, comes up here, and that will bootstrap this first machine right here. And then this one will then bootstrap all of the others once it gets running. Speed up a little bit more. Yeah, so now you can see the more efficient recipes taken over. And this will stop running because the inserter down here checks that circuit condition. And now we should have almost a full yellow belt coming out of this iron bacteria. And the iron bacteria will, you know, spoil into iron ore, which then you can smelt with just a regular smelting stack. And like I said, this should recover from pretty much anything. So let's say this gets backed up. Something's stuck up here upstream, and so this all gets backed up. The iron ore will spoil inside the machines into iron ore. And then if we speed it up, yeah, this becomes iron ore, so these are all stopped. And the nutrient loop keeps running, just producing nutrients and spoiling. You know, so you're going through fruit, but the fruit will spoil anyway. So it's not a huge deal. But then if whatever's clogged up here gets running again, then this will all clear out. The machines will fix themselves up. And then they get bootstrapped again by the bacteria production down here. And then they start producing again. So, you know, you didn't need to do anything. If you were on a different planet or something, it all just starts back up on its own. So also, let's say that the power goes out. And so then this just pretty much stops in its tracks. And everything that's on the belt and in the machines is going to end up spoiling. And so all the machines will have spoilage in them, and the belts will all be covered in spoilage. Alright, so after speeding up for a while, the food is all spoiled on the belts, the machines are full of spoilage, and even the bioflux is all spoiled. But say whatever was causing the power problem gets resolved, then the spoilage is all going to get cleared out of the belts. It's all going to come down here and get burned up. And the new fruit's going to flow through. And these will clear out all the ore from their inventory. Yeah, and then once it gets started up again, then it's just back to normal. It didn't need any manual intervention at all. So if you can find a case where this gets blocked up and doesn't recover, then, you know, I'd like to see it so I can fix it. But I'm fairly confident that it works. I also have a copper version of this, but it's pretty much identical, so I won't be showing that. But it is in the blueprint book right here. So also I have a rocket fuel here. This is more of a first pass. It's pretty similar to the iron and copper. It bootstraps itself from Yumiko mash spoiling to kickstart the nutrient loop. And then it should produce, I think in testing, it was around 60 rocket fuel per minute. Oh, whoops, I forgot to add the fruit. Also requires water. Add an output here. Okay, so now you can see it's running. The nutrient loop is working. This jelly, I have a fast belt here so that it gets up here quicker, since it does have a pretty quick spoil time. So yeah, it's producing rocket fuel. Speed up a bit here. Yep, it's around 60 per minute, 63 per minute. And this one should also recover from anything bad that happens. Gets backed up or power goes out, it should recover. Just like the iron and copper. Now I threw this in here, but I'm not real proud of this. This is a basic science production. So it works kind of the same principle as the others. Just takes the fruit and bootstraps itself, mostly. Although, since it has the pentapod eggs, it does need to be bootstrapped manually for the eggs. And also, you need to have ammo, because if the eggs spoil, they turn into pentapods, and they just start attacking everything. Insert the eggs. Speed this up a little bit. Now it bootstrapped itself up. So the nutrient loop is running. The eggs are being produced. And then the eggs flow into the science. I didn't add an output for the science. Yeah, but you can see the egg belt doesn't stop. It just comes out here and gets burned. That's so that no excess eggs sit on the belt and burn and hatch. This one does have the problem that, you know, if it stops... So a backup is handled okay, because this has a heating tower here. But if the power goes out, these will eventually hatch inside the machines, and then they'll have to get picked off by the turrets. So yeah, you see eventually they'll hatch, and then the turrets will blow them up. Takes a little while. Yep, there they are. So the turrets took care of it, but now if the power comes back on, it can't recover because there's no new eggs. So that's unfortunate. I could probably design something where it would have its own sort of independent solar power or something, and it would just keep a couple eggs just looping, so that there would always be new eggs. Although that would need a good fruit supply. You know. This one does need some work, but I just included it since, you know, it does work pretty okay. You know, as long as it doesn't lose power. Alright, so that's pretty much the blueprint book. I put it out on Factorio Prints. I'll put a link to that in the description. Thanks for watching.